We've all been leaning on Dr. Fauci's expertise during these uncertain times. And the latest news in the sports world is that Dr. Fauci is pretty much endorsing a return to sports this summer if the games are played without fans in attendance. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Jimmy Toscano and Mike Petraglia. I know both of you have a lot of thoughts on this. What do you think it would look like to have sports return, but with no one in the stands?
I think it would serve as only a reminder of the devastation that COVID-19 has done on our culture and in sports in general. I'm not in favor of it, and I've been pretty vocal on this from the get-go, at least for the last several weeks, and wrote a column for CLNS Media on Wednesday, essentially, detailing why I'm so adamant about sports not returning until it's safe for everybody to return to these arenas and to these stadiums. I think playing games, even on television, to fulfill TV obligations would not be well received.
Yeah, I hate to say it, I kind of agree with Mike on this because there are so many factors involved, right? I mean, like Mike just mentioned, TV deals, player contracts, and not just the players, but like everybody else that goes along with the team, right? I mean, there's so many, parts of an organization that we have no idea or even think about, that everybody wants to make a living, obviously, during this, and it's becoming more and more difficult. But I just think there's so many outside factors right now where it's just so hard to even picture. Obviously, the weirdness of it is one thing, but what's to say that a Utah Jazz situation doesn't occur, even with all the steps that they try to take? Now, all of a sudden, one player has it, and now the entire team's being tested, and what? They need to all go in a 2-week quarantine, so now all the games slated for them be played. I mean, it feels like it just takes one little domino to happen for the entire thing to just go up in smoke. And I feel like it's a lot of money that's going to be spent on trying to get this going that just like that could be lost as well. So it almost feels like it's not even worth going through all that trouble for something that's so difficult to go through with.
Yeah. So essentially, it's then deciding between whether you want to consume sports at a mediocre level or just cancel them altogether, because it's obvious that we're not returning to packing stadiums between thousands and thousands of fans anytime soon. Who knows if that will even be the case in 2020 at all. But the players eventually have to earn their money at some point. And so I personally think, well, yes, all of your points are correct in that it will be depressing to watch a baseball game with absolutely no one in attendance, and it will be weird to hear every single squeak and bounce on a basketball court if it were to come to that. But if the players need to somehow make their money on their contracts, if the TV deals still have to go through, because we all know the economy is taking a huge hit and sports are a big part of that. If we can somehow reignite the economy in some way of returning to sports games just televised and not in person, I think that it's a sacrifice that we all can make for the good of the country.
Sierra, I want to jump in there because the reason sports are such a huge part of the economy is because of the fans and all of the auxiliary services that go into staffing all of these stadiums, staffing all of these arenas, the concessions, the personal season ticket licenses at all of these venues. That's where the billions are, a lot of the billions of dollars in terms of the economy lie, not just in the TV contracts. And as far as the TV contracts are concerned, there are insurance policies that can be taken out by these owners that can mitigate some of the existing contracts that they're going to have to, or likely going to distribute to players to fulfill as many contracts as they guaranteed contracts as they can. And to Jimmy's point, I'd like to bring up something that I thought he brought up that was very, very apropos. And Ron Renicky, the Red Sox interim manager, brought this up on Tuesday. If one player, if one staff member on any of these teams gets it, everything's out the window. Do you really want to go forward with a plan, even as much as Anthony Fauci would love to see this plan go forward with empty arenas? If there's one, fly in the ointment, literally, of this proposal for any of the four leagues, then it's off the table.
Right.
Yeah, and here's another thing. is it even fair to ask these players to do that? I mean, if generally speaking, everyone's still saying, well, you really should stay home if you can, and you really should, keep your distance from everybody, and
There would have to be
limit your socializing. Why are we then? I mean, I know these guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, but why are we essentially asking them to put their lives on the line so that we can sit home and mindlessly watch, game 72 of the baseball season? Like, I don't even think it's really that fair to ask. And to ask these players to separate themselves from their families because they're not going to be able to,
Right.
apparently the baseball plan is, all the players go into a hotel room and they just stay there for what, months on end, and they don't have
4.5 months.
Yeah, I mean, you've got players who are going to have children in that time, and what, they can't go and see their kids, and if they do, what then, So it just doesn't seem like something that's actually going to happen. I understand, Dr. Fauci having to entertain it. He's got to entertain, any and all options right now, because
keep
think
hope
about
alive.
this, Trags. And Trags is here. I mean, remember when we went on right after the whole, NBA season was postponed, and we were like, yeah, I think players will, they'll get back in the swing of things after a month. And like, look how wrong we were, So like a month from now, it could be completely different all over again. And, that's just the game that everyone's playing right now.
It's also important to note that Dr. Fauci wasn't really promoting the return of sports. He was asked whether or not sports could return, and he said, yes, I could see it returning if all of the arenas are empty. And I think it's important to make that clarification there on what he was actually asked.
And he also said if all the players and staff members were quarantined in a singular hotel that was monitored to make sure that people aren't, breaking their self-isolation. So there's a lot of different variables to this plan. And we want to hear from you guys, whether you think that sports should return with or without fans. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Celtics All Access and drop a comment down below. And be sure to check out all the rest of our Celtics content on our website at clnsmedia.com.